Good day, Downtonians. I'm Greg Elliott, and welcome to Screen Rant. Downton Abbey is a Golden Globe and Emmy award-winning show, and it's one of the most popular series on TV of the last decade. But the show ended in 2015, so with the movie right around the corner, we thought it'd be a good idea to do a little recap for you. So let's start with the basics. The show takes place between 1912 and 1925, and it follows the lives of the Crawley family and their servants at their Yorkshire country estate of Downton Abbey as they cope with the changes to their way of life following the reign of King Edward VII. Season 1 begins in 1912, the day after the sinking of the Titanic, an event which kills the two men in line to succeed Robert Crawley as the Earl of Grantham. So Matthew Crawley, a distant cousin, becomes the new heir, and the story initially centers on the relationship between him and Robert's eldest daughter Mary, which doesn't really pan out this season. In Season 2, Matthew and many of the servants are drafted to fight in World War I. Sybil, the youngest daughter, gets involved with the family's chauffeur Tom Branson, and the two get married against the family's wishes. Downton is turned into a hospital for the war wounded, and Matthew and Mary also get back together after his then-fiancée Lavinia dies from the Spanish flu. And Season 3 is where things get a bit crazy. In the third season, Sybil dies unexpectedly shortly after having her baby, and later on, after Mary gives birth to her and Matthew's son George, he unexpectedly dies in a car crash while driving home from the hospital. This kind of changed the whole vibe of the show. The Grantham's cousin Rose joined the cast, and the show transitioned to showing the changes to British society and the gradual decline of the British aristocracy throughout seasons 4 and 5. Mary and Edith, the middle daughter, both have failed relationships and now have young children to take care of on their own, as does Branson now that Sybil is gone. Meanwhile, Mr. Bates, Lord Grantham's valet, falls in love with the housemaid Anna, and after a bunch of drama, they do eventually get married. Mr. Carson, the butler, and Mrs. Hughes, the head housemaid, also get together too. In the sixth and final season, Lady Rose leaves Downton for America, and Lord Grantham develops an ulcer which bursts and nearly kills him. He does recover and finally steps down, ceding control and management of the estate to Lady Mary. Lady Cora gets into a power struggle with Violet Crawley over Downton Abbey's hospital, which ends with Cora taking over as president of the hospital from her mother-in-law. The show ends at the end of 1925, and pretty much everybody gets a happy ending. Mary and Edith both finally get married, and Branson opens up an auto shop with Mary's race car driver husband Henry. Mr. Carson finally retires and is succeeded by the new butler Thomas Barrow. After all the grief they suffered, Mr. and Mrs. Bates finally become parents, and Mrs. Patmore, the cook, opens up her own bed and breakfast. And Cora and the Dowager Countess finally reconcile after Violet accepts that Cora has taken over her position within the family. Oh, and cousin Isabel, Matthew's mother, marries Dickie Gray, Lord Merton, and becomes Baroness Merton. The movie picks up about 18 months after this with the announcement that King George V and Queen Mary will be visiting Downton, which brings all of the characters back to prepare the house for their royal guests. Whereas during the show, most of the drama was caused by internal conflict within the Crawley family and their servants, the movie creates a new scenario where both of them will have to rally together to restore Downton Abbey to glory worthy of the royals' arrival. 4 years after the show ended, most of the cast is back, minus Lily James as Lady Rose, but the film will introduce some new characters like Violet Crawley's old rival, Lady Bagshaw. We'll be here with more coverage of the film, so make sure to stay tuned to Screen Rant to stay in the loop. I'm Greg Elliott, and cheerio!